Park Service, but throughout the world. And we'll be talking a little bit about what Cave Week is about. And first of all, I guess I should introduce myself. I am the National Cave and Karst Program Coordinator for the Park Service, and I have a dual job where I'm also the Director of Cave and Karst Management Science at NCRI, the National Cave and Karst Research Institute. I'm going to introduce several of our guest speakers. Dan Pawlak, who is the creator of Cave Week. He'll talk a little bit about the history of it, so everyone kind of understands where we've gone and where we're going. This is Lima Soto. She's with the National Forest Service. She is the National Cave and Karst Program Coordinator for the Forest Service. And then we also have Devra, who is the National Cave and Karst Research Institute Education and Outreach Program Coordinator, Manager. And then she's also with our National Speleological Society, the Education Division Coordinator. And then last but not least is Schneider. She is with the National Park Service and our Cave and Karst Resources Division, and she is a graduate student working with us. And with that, I will turn this over to Dan.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dan Pawlak, and I am the originator of Cave Week. It started back in 2018, and I'm going to start sharing my screen here for you. So currently, I do work at Grand Canyon National Park, and I am the Cultural Demonstration Program Manager for this park for the past almost 2 years. A little bit about my history with caves, just to give some context, is I've worked at 4 different caves for the federal government since 2012. Started as an intern at Oregon Caves. I did that for a few seasons in uniform. I went to El Capitan Cave in the Tongass National Forest with the U.S. Forest Service as an intern as well. Mammoth Cave, and then I became a permanent employee of the federal government at Carlsbad Caverns for almost going on 4 years almost. And then I came back to Grand Canyon in 2021. So I love caves, and for a while it seemed like I was not going to be able to get out from caves for current employment. So I was happy to get back to the surface, but I do love them, and I love still caving to this very day. Nope. Click there. Okay, so why does Cave Week exist? It started because when I was working at Oregon Caves, I noticed that before every single tour occurred, people would come up to me and they would have a set of questions and comments that would basically go in this type of order. And it was, hey, is this cave going to be like Carlsbad? Have you been to Carlsbad? You should go to Carlsbad. And it really started to annoy me. That I kept hearing Carlsbad Caverns pop up on everyone's radar for the beginning of a cave tour, like at Oregon Caves. It's a marble cave, not limestone. It's beautiful in its own way. And so everyone wanted to compare it to Carlsbad, and I had not been there yet in my life because I've never traveled that far down south. Eventually I did get to Carlsbad, and I started to understand why everyone was comparing it, but I wanted to, this thought sat in my mind for a number of years, and I wanted to start celebrating caves for like each individual cave and not comparing them to each other. So that was kind of the beginning and the thought process for Cave Week. The goals for it was for it to be a social media based event that occurs for an entire 7 days every single year. We use social media to promote each other, promote what's happening at a cave. But one of the biggest goals for it was to have the larger well-known cave sites like Mammoth, Carlsbad, Jewel, Wind. Since they have a larger following, they can promote what's happening at smaller sites like Oregon Caves, like Coronado National Monument that has their own cave as well. and start to show that there is more than just like 5 major caves across the United States that people go to, and to show off the discovery stories, the exploration that's happening there, the scientific research, how the cave is unique, the different types of animals, link caves to people and how it affects them. I mean, it's just showing off everything that is possible within that week, basically, and get the public excited to experience caves in their own backyard, or if they're going to make a trip that summer, to have that week early in the year so that people can maybe plan a vacation around one of those major caves or smaller caves across the United States and get to see a different world altogether. But if they really get into it, they can then actually learn about the NSS through going to these places and start to get underground for themselves by joining a grotto and learning about these resources in a really hands-on approach, although we don't touch caves without gloved hands. And it would then just start to increase awareness all across the United States, to get people to experience the underground world and be a part of something that not everyone gets to see. In 2018, I started Cave Week, and to kind of brand it, I used a hashtag because they were becoming super popular at that time frame in order to kind of bring things together. And it would be identifiable. You can click it and then go across these platforms and see exactly what everybody has been posting about in the week's time. So using that hashtag kind of blended everything together. And in the beginning of it all, I started creating these slides that you can see here, these pictures. And they're from different caves across the United States, I mean, mainly in the Carlsbad area for the examples that are present. But that bottom left one is actually from a cave down in the southeast United States. So I wanted to start showing and bringing together everybody with these unified emblems and kind of also brand the week itself. Now, I did put the NPS arrowhead in there, but I had started to realize over time that the NPS arrowhead is not the easiest thing to use outside of the NPS. It's great for initiatives, but if my goals that I wanted to achieve were to make this universal, not only for the NPS, but make it into Forest Service, BLM, private caves, show caves, caves in other countries, then the NPS arrowhead is not going to be appropriate because I want to make it just into a large initiative. So having that arrowhead did make a branding aspect a little bit more difficult for people to attend. It did start in 2018 with about 11 caves across the United States in the National Park Service. I basically started by cold calling parks and emailing folks to see who is part of their social media teams. And some of those folks are on this call today. I saw some names pop up that are from the original year in 2018, which is really fun. And I just focused on the parks that had cave in their name. From there, I started branching out and looking at karst maps across the United States to see what overlapped with national parks, and found a great document to show karst resources in these different areas. So it really started to grow exponentially. And so from like 2019 to 2022, I got help from the National Park Service's Geologic Resources Division, which these folks are on the call today, and they really helped to grow this initiative, create a website for it, and really make it into a fun initiative that happens every single year. But we've had participation from the Bureau of Land Management, the Forest Service. We had a caving club out of Montana that was really cool to have part of all this. There's lesser known cave sites all across the National Park Service. We had some from Forest Service as well. Last year, I was able to get Parks Canada on board, which was a really cool thing because they've got some awesome cave sites across Canada and some really cool karst resources. The International Year of Cave and Karst was part of Cave Week as well. Not saying that I own it. I mean, that's a greater thing. But Cave Week participated for the International Years of Cave and Karst, and it was a major event that is documented in everything that occurred for the 2 years that IYCK went on. Private show caves have been a part of Cave Week as well. The National Natural Landmarks, which work with the National Park Service. So it has really broadened out an amazing project that I had been spearheading basically through 2022 here. Now, there is kind of a reality for 2023. The harsh reality for me is that since moving out of caves for my actual career and back to the surface at Grand Canyon National Park, I now run the Cultural Demonstration Program, which is growing to be its own thing, and we are influencing different parks across the United States. Just to give you an example, we had parks superintendents from 3 national parks in California just this week, and we talked to them about how the Cultural Demonstration Program works and how we work with tribes. So I'm reaching out to more of a national scale with my current job, and I'm losing time to really work very hard on the things that I love. And so the Geologic Resources Division are very gracious in helping me, but I didn't have any time this year due to a very harsh winter out here, plus all these major duties that are popping up on my radar, and caves were not in my foreground of thought, which is a really tough thing to say in my world. So this year feels a little bit more slapped together for how people can participate, because I normally would be sending out emails earlier in the year and kind of starting to corral everybody together, maybe create some universal messaging that would be going on. But the reality of it is now it's going to be celebrating Cave Week in the ways that are possible for 2023, and hope to regroup as part of a team with the GRD here to make 2024 even better. But 2024 into the future is working with the UIS, which Pat Seiser here is a part of, working with multiple government agencies, the NSS, the National Cave Association, having the public celebrate Cave Week every year and look forward to it. I started the pattern of having Cave Week be the first full week of June, which revolves around National Cave and Karst Day, which is something National Cave and Association info. I would love to have a yearly theme pop up, make it like exploration, all sorts of cave critters that are there, make it around a speleothem, just bring all sorts of different aspects together for a yearly theme, but blow it up to not just be a social media aspect and have like in-person events at these caves. It sounds like there's going to be some events down at Grand Canyon Caverns, which is a national natural landmark and a private show cave. And they're going to be celebrating a major anniversary this year and having some in-person events during Cave Week itself, which is absolutely awesome. A great way to include an in-person event is Cave Sim. And that's run by Dave Jackson, who has actually been working with the National Park Service on many initiatives, including Great Basin National Park, who is actually commissioning a trailer of their own, which Dave pioneered for bringing a cave to people in different locations. Excuse me, I got to cough real quick. I'm getting over a cold, so give me 1 second. Find a different way to target new audiences by getting involved primarily like in the local community. And beyond that, if people do want to get involved with exploring caves and like finding a grotto, encourage them to explore safely. And after that, then encourage people to protect caves and karst as much as possible, because they are very intricately connected to us in general, especially if you get your water from a major karst area. So that's a brief history about Cave Week, my background on it, and what the reality of it looks like right now, which is a hard thing to say, that it's a little bit in a tough spot due to my job currently. But hopefully, working with the Geologic Resources Division, we can we got this meeting together and we can make something really cool happen this year by encouraging folks to participate in Cave Week in a unified fashion. And then working to make 2024 and beyond even better. Use that hashtag and just please celebrate Cave Week for 2023 here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dan. I wanted to point out, because I guess I didn't give many instructions at the beginning, we are recording, so this webinar will be recorded. And right now everybody's on mute, but if you have a question, feel free to raise your hand and we can unmute you. We don't have that many people that it will be a problem to have a conversation back and forward, and it looks like we have enough time. So thanks, Dan, for that fantastic introduction to Cave Week. This is our 6th year, so it's a big deal that we've been celebrating Cave Week. And like Dan said, we might not have everything aligned this year to do a big celebration, but hopefully this will be the start. So in the coming years, we can celebrate more and create more awareness of these fantastic environments. So one of the things that we did to facilitate the celebration is that we wanted to create a communication plan. So something that you can take, use the ideas and run with it. So I'll be presenting a little bit on this plan, but part of our goal is we'll send out an email with the recording and some of the links, and we'll also share the comp plan, which you're also welcome to provide feedback because it is a work in progress, and hopefully it will just set the base work for everything that we can do, starting 2024 and moving forward. So with that, let me try and share my screen. Let me get into presenter mode. That'll make it easier. Let me go here, share. Can you guys see my screen?
We can see it.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm Lima Soto, and like Pat said, I'm the Cave and Cards Program Coordinator with the Forest Service. And prior to joining the Forest Service, I used to work with the Park Service for 8 years with the Geologic Resources Division. So I'm familiar with the team and the work the Park Service does, but I'm very excited to be in the Forest Service. We have thousands of caves and a lot of work to be done in karst. So happy to be here. Okay, so the goal of Cave Week, and at least moving forward, is to celebrate caves in your area or in your unit. So we're really inviting you to celebrate caves and help the public learn about caves, right? Especially your cave or the caves that you manage. Cave Week will be celebrated in June 4 to the 10, marking its 6th year, just like Dan said. So it's coming up very quickly, but I think you still have a few weeks to plan. Dan gave us a bit of background of all the partners, but Park Service, Forest Service, BLM, the NNL sites, Parks Canada, NASA, show caves, but all are welcome, right? We want this to be as extensive as we can, and we just want to make sure that people celebrate and share, why caves are important, right? And it's a focus on all things caves and karst, because I think when people think about caves, they probably have, if they're not, in a scientist or in this community, they might just think about, dark hole in the ground that might be cold or wet, right? But no, it has so many other things. It's very multidisciplinary. So you can study geology, you can study history, biology. There's so much work being done in caves, exploration, and just promoting the importance of caves. So we just want to look at your cave, look at your caves, and help promote them, why they're important, why your cave is unique, why your cave is important. So goal, promote and celebrate caves. make sure that the public understand that these are unique and sensitive environments, in some cases non-renewable, right? So why we need to protect them. What happens underground, right? It's a whole entire world down there. It's very multidisciplinary and also interdisciplinary. We here have backgrounds from different fields, right? And we all work together. People use cave for recreations, and if you're in this call, you probably know that, but some folks might not know that. And exploration, it's very important as well. And how caves affect people, how will affect you. They are very interconnected. The drinking water that millions of people drink comes from Kars Aquifer. So it's just everything that we do in the surface might also affect the subsurface. So trying to help the public understand their footprint, right? And think about caves and everything that it encompasses. So our audience, so the organizers, so the cave managers, so most of you here, land managers, partners, interpretive staff, we all want you to help us celebrate Cave Week. The target is people who recreate outside, people that live near caves. There are some states that, I'll say Florida, I used to live there. The entire peninsula is Kars, right? They have some caves, not as many as other areas, but they have a lot of sinkholes, they have a lot of springs. So we have avid fans of caves. Some people love caves, right? That's their entire life. People that want to interact with caves from home. Not everybody can go across the country and visit a cave, and not everybody can really are able to, crawl inside a cave. So they also want to interact from the comfort of their home. And then people who work in caves, like I said, biologists, paleontologists, geoscientists, wildlife folks, hydrologists, historians. So how can you join? Use the hashtag Cave Week. So during the June 4 to 10, just share info about your caves or your caves, and always make sure that you use that hashtag. Share examples of caves, resources, and experiences, right? People have a lot to learn from caves, and we can provide that information. Share recreational and conservation opportunities. You might be doing a cave cleanup or a sinkhole cleanup. Just let them know how they can share. And if they want to recreate, how they can join the local cave club or grotto. Host an event that highlight caves. You can do it online or you can do it in person. And maybe this year you're not able to plan something with cave scene ahead of time, but maybe next year we can plan better. And then share your organization's work with caves. You're doing a lot of work to protect these resources. Share that information with the public so they can also understand them. The key messaging that we all are very familiar, they're unique resources. They contain unit sensitive resources such as phyllothems, fossil, cultural resources, cave adapted species, and of course, water. Some of these resources are non-renewable. Once we lose them, we lose them. They provide recreational opportunities for millions of people. A lot of people do ecotourism visiting caves, right? They're connected to Kars aquifers, and these aquifers are significant sources of drinking water for millions of people. So again, tying everything up to your drinking water, right? To your water. Even the entire process of karst, it's based on water. And water is not that available anymore. So just to make sure that people understand that caves and karst and pseudokars are all interconnected with their water and drinking water. Ideas for events: you can host a cave cleanup, a link camp, a graffiti cleanup, anything to have volunteers and the public, understand why we're doing this, why we're protecting the resources. Host a sinkhole cleanup. Big deal, because sometimes people don't understand that these sinkholes are part of very, very important interconnected caves and landscapes, and we need to not throw trash in sinks. But you guys all know that. You can do an art contest in your community with your local school. You can host a bat survey or join folks that are doing bat surveys. You can also host webinars like we're doing today. And one of the plans for 2024 is to have many of you who are experts and working in caves host a webinar on your expertise, on your background, so others can learn and build those connections and networking, and visit your local school and present about caves. We did that. I live in Denver. We did that this December. We went to one of the geology classes at a local high school, and I presented about caves and cars, right? I want other young students to be pursuing a degree in that it's related to caves and cars. So do that, present to your local school. Once you have one presentation, I know Devra does a lot of them as well. You can reuse it as many times as you want. And if you need ideas, just send us a message and we can send you what we have. It's all about collaboration. So some of those social media posts that you can use and reuse is, we have a few here, but during the week of June 4th to the 10th, we celebrate caves, a war beneath our feet, often unseen, but with wonderful resources, right? Talk about some of the cave animals at your cave, right? If you have an ice bog, you can talk about those. But if you have other species that visit your caves or live in your caves, share that information. Talk about cave mapping, right? Maybe people do not understand how important cave mapping is to understand speleogenesis. So share that and some of the work that you do at your cave. You can also invite people to join a local cave club and a grotto. And I think this is really important because we want people to cave safely, right? We don't want people to all now go caving all at once, right? Because we have many things that we're concerned, including safety, but also including white nose syndrome. And a good one that I think we can also promote, it's not outside, out of mind, right? Don't throw trash into sinkholes. You're throwing trash into your drinking water in some cases. And going back to, in some areas and in the US, 40% of the drinking water comes from karst aquifers. I have here some educational resources that are Park Service and Forest Service, but those are online. We'll share them in the comms plan, but you can use them to celebrate Cave Week. The Junior Cave Scientist book, you can request copies, but you can also download some of those copies from the NPS website. The Natural Inquirer, it's a Forest Service program that is a scientific journal for kids. And they have a Cave and Karst edition. So for educators, it's great because it has a lot of materials. Caves Live, it has free lesson plans, videos, and educational programs for K to 12. So if you're an educator or you're in a community that you have caves and you want to work with your local school, share some of these resources ahead of time. So I know school is over, but maybe next year before the end of the semester, they can have a lesson plan based on caves, and then kids can visit the caves at their local community with their parents. And with that, thank you so much. I'll pass it on to Devra so she can share more information about the Google Drive that she's setting up and the resources that we have available to share after the webinar.
Thank you, Lima. So I'm going to share my screen. Can everyone see it? Give me a thumbs up. All right, so I'm actually going to put in the chat the link to this. So I have it so everybody who has the link can comment on the documents that are in this drive. So for instance, if you see anything that you think needs to be changed, you want to add to, feel free. What I would like you to do, if you have things you want to add, you can either, I'll put two emails in the chat. You can email Pat, Lima or I, or info@nicri.org. And we'll put those emails in the chat and we'll upload it, or you can put it in the comments. So any of that for things to be added. So Georgia will actually kind of go more about the photos and media. I put some documents I've created or just links to, like, for instance, Flickr accounts, but there's any other sites that can be added that have really good open access photos that have caves, karst, pseudokarst, We have, of course, some of the social media images. And as I said, Georgia will talk a little more on that. And as I said, we want to populate this so that people have more access, and we can highlight each other's resources. So that is one of the big beauties of Cave Week, is that to show that interconnected, to show how, not only that we're interconnected with these landscapes, but that we have similar resource issues, management issues, conservations, and that we can go and help promote each other. And see all these different subject matter experts and how they relate to these environments. So this is one great way to do that, is by sharing what you're doing with your agency and with your resources, and share it with other places so they can go and expand those programs. For the resource folder, I have everything from some cave trivia, some karst diagrams. We're still populating. It's like a list of cave webinars that are online. Some of them are from the NSS. Some of them are from UIS, but please feel free. This is a great document, for instance, for you to add comments to, so we can include your webinars, your videos, your links. And so this is searchable, for instance, for subject matter. And so that way, and topics, so we can go and see and share this each other's information. So let's see. Any other information, things, other programs. So for instance, I work for NICRI, so National Cave and Karst Research Institute. And so I've shared some of the social media examples that we've made over the last year, so other people can use them. Please, feel free to copy, to add. Please give credit, of course, to images. All that information is in there and in the images. So, and then, of course, our social media guide. So this is our comms plan. I will put that link in our chat for you to have. And as it's updated, of course, it will go there. And we will send all this out in a follow-up email with this video, and also how to join our mailing list. So this link, actually I can put this in the chat too, for you to sign up. And this way we can share each other's resources. If something's sent to one of us, we can share it out. And also starting to create a mailing list for all of us that work with caves. And so there really is, NCA has a beautiful mailing list, for instance. The parks have a beautiful mailing list, but we don't have one that is holistic. And so for us to get better collaboration, this is one way that we can promote each other. And so these are some of the pieces that we're starting to create to kind of get much better cross promotion, and also to share the issues that we're having and forming a better way to collaborate with each other. All right. So as I said, you are more than welcome to, oops, now you get to see all my computer. To add to this. Yep.
And the comps plan, it's there, or communication plan. It's not final, it's a draft. I'm sure you'll find things that need to be fixed, then provide that feedback, right? This is a collaborative effort. We just wanted to help you participate. And I think that was the easiest and quickest thing we could do without much planning this year. So we're like, okay, let's just give them something so they can celebrate. And maybe you've been planning all year and you're ready to go. But for those that, like us, waited a bit to start planning, then you have something to start. So
yeah, so we're just trying to help each other, make it a little easier. None of this is binding. It's just something like, here, this is what I'm doing. Let me share. Maybe it'll inspire you to do something else. Maybe I have a little something that'll help you expand your program or highlight your program. So let's share what we are doing, and let's share even the struggles, the good, the beauty, the ugly, and maybe we can have a better way to celebrate this resource. That, as I said, Georgia is going to talk more about social media and some of the example social media posts that she's created.
Yes, hi. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can you all see that? Get a thumbs up from Devra.
You might want to maximize your screen. We see like a smaller version of your screen. Okay, that's much better. Thank you.
Okay, lovely. Okay, great. I'm going to actually show you guys first how to get here. So we all have the link from Devra to get into the Cave Week toolkit, and then you would go to photos and media, and then you would go to social media images, and you can double click that. And this is just a really fast, easy way for everybody to participate. We've prepped several ready to go Instagram posts or social media posts, so you can use any of these to start spreading the word about Cave Week. Once you get into this folder, you can download these and post them to any accounts that you would like. They're already they already have photo credit, and they're ready to go. So fast, easy way to participate. And it was really fun to work with Devra on making these, so I hope that you all use them.
And we also made some Canva templates. So I think Georgia was showing you.
Yeah, I have the templates up. So these were the posts that were ready to use. And then we have some more blank templates that we can fill with whatever information you have at your park or your landmark or forest. And you can fill in your own images with these and reach out to us if you need any help in creating a post like the ones that we have that are ready to go. Did I miss anything? Does anyone have any questions about that?
The Canva link is in the comms plan in the resources.
Yeah, and Devra's you're gonna send out another follow-up with all of these links so you can follow that path and get into those ready to go images.
So I think you can use what already created by these beautiful artists, or you can use what they have as a template and create your own. So kind of a win-win situation that if you want to spend time promoting your cave, you can do so. If you just want to use what's already made, you can do so as well. So, okay. Any comments from any of the presenters before I open it up for questions or comments from the attendees?
I just want to say that Canva it's free for anyone to use. So if you have, it's the way it's set up is you can edit it, you can make a copy, and then you can go from there. So once you make a copy, you can use that to make any of your templates.
We needed younger people in this group to be able to maneuver social media, not me. So, okay. If you have a question, raise your hand. I can unmute you. You can also type them in the chat. We have maybe 20 minutes before the end of the webinar. We have an hour. So I just want to hear what you have to say. Any questions, any experiences celebrating Cave Week? Okay, Austin. So, Austin, you are ready to go.
Okay, thank you. So my first question really is the Junior Cave Scientist booklet that you helped put together. I got one from a good friend of mine, but I only have the one. And you said that we could request for more. And I want to ask politely, how much more can I request? Because we have, around 70,000 visitors, and not that I necessarily want to have one for everybody or that I need that many before Cave Week. Just sort of an open-ended question on accessing that, both the English and Spanish version. I just don't want to be impolite and asking a ludicrous amount.
And I'll try to weigh in because it's not my book. I did create the book when I worked Park Surveys and translated it with Forest Surveys, but it is a Park Surveys book. when I used to work with the Park Service and we mailed them, one thing that we try to make sure is that people were not charging for the book, right? Because this is a government created book, right? And so like people could not sell it for a fee. But, you know, I think my recommendation and how in the past we managed this, and I mail books to Forest Service, but I'm not the Park Service, is if you're hosting an event that you think you're going to have kids or groups that you want to have activities that are revolving about education and you want to give books, then that's the way to go. But of course, I don't think that they can send you thousands of books because we don't even have thousands of books. But there is a link online that you could also share so people can also download the book and do it at home. But I think the easiest way to do it, if you're not within Park Service or Forest Service, is to request books for an event that you're planning to do an education activity, right? Because otherwise it's going to be impossible to request that many. They do have a way for you to buy the books, but they're very, very expensive online. So the government printing office or GPO or publishing office, they have changed their name. They have a link to the book and you can buy it, but it's going to be very expensive. So I don't recommend that. And I'll let Pat talk because she's Park Service.
Hi, I put in the chat my link, except I just spelled my first name wrong. It's Patricia, not Patricia Seiser. And Georgia, we are the ones responsible for sending the books out. Just send us a request. Particularly let us know for sure that you also want the Spanish edition so that we get both of those. Thanks, Devra, she corrected the email. So that we get both of those sent to you. And we can send badges. And, we just need your address, the number you'd like, and we will do the best we can to get them out to you. If you're associated with an education institute, one of the things that we've had in a policy that we recently established is you do not have to send the booklets back because that's very expensive to send classroom books at a time. We just request the certificates and badges, and we can send those to you for your students if they've completed that. The PDF versions are available too. We keep seeming to lose the PDF off the website for various reasons. But if you can't find the PDF link, please let us know and we can be sure to send you that PDF. And we can be sure that Devra can put it in the Google Docs site so that you'll have that accessible.
It is, yeah.
Oh, it is? Sweet. Both versions? Good. Thanks, Devra.
To answer your question about numbers and requests with like what a number is appropriate, they come in boxes of 125. So we probably have fewer than 1,000 English and fewer than 700 Spanish in a backlog right now that we could send you. So if that gives you a frame of reference for how many you want, those are what the numbers are like.
And we didn't print that many Spanish books. Because truly we did not know how many we were going to use, so we can definitely print more. But at the time that it was created, not many were printed because we were not expecting that many visitors to need books. Any other questions? And did we answer your question? Okay. Any other questions? If you want to raise your hand, I can unmute you. You can also put them in the chat. One of the things that I did when I visited that high school in December was I presented on geology, because it was a geology class, which is fantastic, right? To have a class in high school for geology. So I presented on Cuban cars, and then I gave the teacher the books, and they were going to do it as part of the class the following week. So that's another way to do it, that you can do a presentation and then the teachers can do the book. That uses a lot of time, which teachers love. Any other questions or comments?
I was just going to mention, please consider using QR codes, particularly on the social media things, so that people can directly link to your particular organization or cave. Those are always really useful, and you'll get a lot more turnaround and response back when you see your QR codes being responded to.
And one thing that I didn't mention on the comms plan, but if you want to share posts among each other, I think that's how Dan did it at the beginning. Big parts were promoting smaller ones. So do that so that others can also promote each other and see what's happening.
Yeah, that was a big part about it all, to use the platforms of the larger parks to share for the smaller ones, to get them more recognition out there. And to help with that recognition as well, there's a great link I put in the chat for the Cave Week website that you can use, which does highlight caves all across the US, North America actually, and the different styles of caves that they are too. So not just limestone caves out there. There's a lot more than that.
Kyle, I'm going to put you on the spotlight since you haven't shared anything.
I knew it was coming eventually.
Yeah, had to. So tell us about yourself, Kyle.
So I know some of you. Kyle Voiles. I'm out of the St. George field office in Utah. I am an outdoor rec planner and the new National Cave and Karst program lead for BLM. So I am running the new Cave and Karst program, working with all of our sister agencies and partners and whatnot to help spread the word of how cool caves are and increase the management and the appreciation for our awesome and unique resource. So I am working with Pat and Lima and everyone else in Cave Week and helping get the word out, and hopefully be working with them collaboratively on a lot of future projects.
Thank you and welcome. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm not going to extend this webinar if you guys don't have questions, but this is your chance, so we can, end the webinar sooner. But if you have a question, okay, Andrew has a question. I'm going to, okay, you are ready to go, Andrew. You can unmute.
Hi, I'm just wondering if there's sort of a niche for bat cave folks. I'm fascinated by all caves, but we have the double sinkhole, and lots of, I wonder what's going on at the other bat caves, and who's monitoring the weather satellite and stuff. And anyway, don't communicate too much with the other caves, and wondering if you have some ideas. And that's it.
I think, Andrew, you're getting into a resource that has not been tapped as well, especially by myself in the startup of all this. But it's great to have you here, and by reaching out through this community, you can figure out what's going on in the different locations. So like for bats in general, I know we got Anthony Mizuko on here from Carlsbad, who's a great resource there on the interp team. And we've got other folks that have their own bat caves probably in their backgrounds as well. So we might not be like all these caves might be bat caves, but might not have a whole lot of bats inside of them compared to hundreds of thousands or millions. But they're bat caves nonetheless, and can all be communicated through this team, and using the online drive to put resources in there and put out questions for people to answer would be a great way to get more info for what you're looking for.
And I can put a link to some of the Bat Week references too. So if you aren't cross branding with Bat Week, that's another platform for us to share. So Bat Week is collaborating with us. We're collaborating with them. If you are unaware that there's the cave animal of the year this year is the cave cricket, and so we'll have that also uploaded in the resource folder. You're muted, Lima.
Yes. So Emily, you're good to go to ask your question.
Hi, I'm Emily Picker. I work in Missouri and Mark Twain National Forest, and kind of jumping a little bit off of what was just talked about with the bats and everything. While there are a lot of caves on Mark Twain National Forest, all of them are closed to the public to go in. So that might have some interesting things if we post anything about Cave Week on our social media or anything like that, because then we're more than likely going to get people saying, well, why should we celebrate when we can't even go in the caves? So is there some good messaging around that we can also use to kind of help in some ways shut down some of the more intense of those comments?
So Emily, that's excellent pointing that out. But this is the perfect opportunity during Cave Week to point out that much of your agencies, that region for caves are closed because to discuss what WN is, white nose syndrome, and how we have the caves closed to help protect those resources. And so I think you can celebrate caves by focusing on we can't always go into the caves, and here's a reason why.
Emily, I'm with you. It's complicated, and when we had the International Year of Cave and Cars, that also created some issues because really in many of our regions in the Forest Service, the caves are closed because of white nose, right? And that should be a big message that we also share during Bat Week during Cave Week is to make sure that people are caving safely or not go caving if there's a cave closure. But I think not educating the public, it's worse, right? We need to take this opportunity because, a lot of the caves are connected to the landscape, right, that they're living in and to the water. And maybe don't go caving, but, don't throw trash in sinkholes that are connected to caves and so on. So, and if they do want to, help, there are ways that they can help. I think I saw Kayla here with Cave Research Foundation. It's one of our partners that do have access to caves in the Mark Twain to do work. So they might be able to join organizations that have a permit to help at our forest, even though we have a cave closure, because they have a purpose, they have a project, they have a reason to be there to get access. But it makes things complicated because, we have white nose and we have closures, but not educating the public makes it even worse because they need to understand that these resources are non-renewable in some cases, and we need to protect them, right? We need to create awareness of why caves and karst are important.
And it's also an opportunity for people to celebrate at home. And so maybe that's something that we as a team can just work on is like email us, and maybe we can get that chat started of like, what are ways we can celebrate at home? What are ways that we can, because there are lots of people who interact with caves and never leave their chairs, and we have affectionate names for them too. But people want to interact with these spaces even if they don't want to go in them. And that's one of the things, whether it's dealing with surface resources and surface connections, but like trying to find a way for people to connect to these beautiful spaces without having to go in them is like one of the beautiful opportunities that we have here.
An idea is to promote that they visit show caves in their area, right? And that will help with having people visit wild caves, right? So that's more secure. Okay, I saw a message in the chat. Any other hands?
We've got a question from Anthony at Carlsbad, just putting it out there for if anyone has a virtual tour of their cave, we could compile that into a list, which would be really cool to add to things in the future, including the website and also our database here.
Anthony, I actually made you a presenter, so you should be able to unmute if you want. Or maybe not, but okay. I see. Yeah, that's great. Kimberly said that BCI has also a 3D tour of Bracken Cave, and I think Gretchen at Great Basin, they also have some tours. So any tours that you have that we can share, because not everybody wants to go into a cave, right? Maybe we want to show 3D versions of a cave that people play video games. People do a lot of things online without leaving their home, right? So they might enjoy just watching a video or looking at some interactive cave without visiting them. Any other hands? Oh, so we have a great amount of information and stuff we will put in the plan or the Google Drive. So that's why it's open for everybody to share, because you guys know a lot that we don't, but those are great ideas. So maybe don't go caving, but go visit this, cave that we have worked so hard to have a way to see it virtually. So perfect. Any other? We have 3 minutes. I don't want to take more than an hour if we don't have to. Questions or comments?
I would just like to say one thing before the meeting ends here, that 6 years ago, I didn't know how things were going to get to this level with all these different agencies and show caves working together. But it's been a dream come true, even though I'm kind of having difficulty finding my role in this with my new job. But I love seeing everybody on here and still being a part of this 6 years in, and it's a great thing to see everyone excited to share about caves and continue Cave Week, and it'll get bigger and badder and better over the years as it goes on. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for being a visionary. I think I always wanted to do like National Fossil Day when I was in Park Service, because I was jealous of Vince, all the stuff he was doing. So now we have a whole week, not just one day, so we can celebrate. And I'm just happy that we have such an amazing group of people and stewards protecting these resources and caves. So with that, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you in June 4. Please celebrate Cave Week and just promote each other and use the hashtag, and next year will be better. So thank you so much.